During my senior year in high school, my parents took me on a week-long business trip to New York City. Most of the time, I found myself alone since they had business meetings to attend. As I gazed out of the window, I noticed a club across the street that piqued my interest. At the age of 18, nearly 19, I appeared older than my years. With a shapely figure and a bit of cleavage, it was unlikely that anyone would suspect I was underage. I decided to seize the opportunity, donning a short black mini dress and accentuating my look with bold red lipstick that emphasized my curves. Without hesitation, I headed to the club, dancing the night away with strangers and thoroughly enjoying myself. As the evening progressed, I took a break and settled down at the bar for a drink. That's when I noticed him, a striking blonde man with a rugged physique sitting alone. Our eyes met, and he responded with a warm smile, making his way over to me. He took a seat in the chair beside me and greeted me with a compliment, "Hey, gorgeous. I'm guessing a girl as stunning as you isn't from around here." He flashed a charming wink and ordered drinks for both of us. Introducing himself as Logan, we engaged in a 2-hour conversation. Logan shared that he worked as a chef at an upscale Italian restaurant and might soon be embarking on a 2-month culinary adventure in Paris. His charisma was magnetic, and I couldn't help but be captivated by his strong presence throughout our conversation. We enjoyed dancing together, and the night was filled with fun and excitement. Afterwards, he invited me to go back to his place, an offer I found hard to resist. I agreed to join him, but emphasized that I needed to return to the hotel room before my parents arrived. We made our way to his place, and the chemistry between us was undeniable. His handsomeness and charisma were irresistible. Our passion ignited as soon as we entered his apartment. Our kisses were electric, and things escalated quickly as we found ourselves entwined in each other's arms. The details of that intimate encounter remain a treasured memory. Afterward, we exchanged phone numbers and stayed in touch for the next 3 days. Those were some of the most incredible days of my life, and I cherished every moment we spent together. However, all good things must come to an end. My parents informed me that it was time to return to our hometown since they had concluded their business in New York City. Saying goodbye to Logan was bittersweet, and we had to part ways over the phone due to my parents' haste. He assured me that we would stay connected and see each other again soon. Upon our return home, I eagerly called Logan to share updates and check on him. To my surprise, I received a message stating that the number was unavailable. I attempted to send a text message, but it remained unanswered. Anxiety welled up as I waited for the following day to try calling again, only to encounter the same unavailability. It seemed that Logan had not provided me with his genuine contact information. I couldn't help but wonder if he had been playing with my feelings or if there was a valid reason for his sudden disappearance. I confided in my friend Jesse, who bluntly told me that it was naive to trust a stranger and expect him to reach out. Logan had seemingly taken advantage of my presence as an out-of-town distraction. With time, I gradually moved on from the disappointing encounter with Logan and resumed my normal routine at school. The time for history class had arrived, and rumors had been circulating among my classmates. They whispered about the arrival of a new, youthful teacher to replace the one who had fallen ill and taken an extended vacation. Some of the girls were excitedly murmuring about the newcomer's youth and attractiveness. Anticipation hung in the air as we all eagerly awaited his introduction. As the bell signaled the start of the class, we took our seats, our curiosity piqued. When the classroom door swung open, I couldn't trust my own eyes. My jaw dropped involuntarily. Before us stood none other than Logan. My mind raced, struggling to process this unexpected turn of events. What was happening? I silently pleaded for someone to pinch me, to confirm that this surreal moment was indeed reality. When Logan's eyes met mine, his face paled noticeably. It was as if he had encountered the apparition of a long-lost relative. Confusion rippled through the entire class, as no one could fathom the strange spectacle unfolding before them. In an attempt to regain his composure, Logan swiftly addressed the class, introducing himself as Mr. Austin Hughes, our new history teacher. "Call me Mr. Hughes," he instructed. The name Austin reverberated in my mind, leaving me bewildered. Had he been deceiving me all along? He was now a high school teacher, and his name was Austin? It was utterly inconceivable. The ensuing 45 minutes in class felt like an eternity, during which I could scarcely tear my gaze away from Mr. Hughes, my expression fraught with anger. I harbored an overpowering urge to confront him, to demand answers for his deception. My desire to punch him in the face was overwhelming. After the class concluded, I discreetly followed him to his office, my determination to confront him growing by the second. As we entered his office, I couldn't contain myself any longer. "So, Logan, or should I call you Liar Austin?" I began, my voice quivering with anger. "You lied to my face just to use me." His response was swift, an attempt to shift the blame onto me. "You also lied about your age," he retorted. "I thought you were 21, but you're only 18. You can fool people with those curves." My frustration boiled over, and I lashed out. I demanded answers, pushing him to explain himself. His defense was feeble, stating that he had moved to our town temporarily after being laid off, seeking employment as a high school teacher. He implored me to keep everything under wraps due to the illegality of a student-teacher relationship. His plea hung heavily in the air, and in response, I delivered a calculated ultimatum. "Oh," I replied coolly, "as long as you do what I want, I'll keep my mouth shut." We struck an unholy bargain, a sinister pact born out of mutual deceit. I wielded newfound authority, and for a brief period, I reveled in the power it afforded me. It was akin to having an obedient pet. The arrangement unfolded smoothly until an unforeseen revelation changed everything. I discovered that I was pregnant, prompting a cascade of uncertainty and difficult decisions. At 18 and on the verge of graduation, I wrestled with the weight of my choices. The handsome man who shared in this predicament with me held no sway over my determination. Instead, I saw an opportunity to assert control over Mr. Hughes, the man who had deceived me before. With newfound resolve, I decided to confront him once more, seizing the moment to assert my position right before history class. I took delight in the opportunity to tease him during our class sessions, relishing in the secret that bound us. One day, I decided to pay a visit to his office, a mischievous glint in my eye, and instructed him to take a seat. I had a significant confession to make after all. As I towered over him, I playfully began, "So, Logan, Mr. Hughes, congratulations, you're going to be a father. Isn't that exciting?" The color drained from Mr. Hughes' face, leaving him as pale as a ghost. A moment of paralysis gripped him, but then he sprang from his chair, his visage etched with anger. "Are you crazy?" he snapped, his voice laced with desperation. "You must get rid of the baby. I can't afford to lose my job here. They will kick me out." I responded with an unapologetic tone, a hint of retribution in my voice. "That's what you get for acting like an idiot," I declared, my resolve unwavering. He continued to berate me, imploring me not to disrupt his life, but my heart remained unmoved. In the end, he had no choice but to yield to my terms. The agreement was struck with relative ease, his acquiescence born from necessity. In the classroom, Mr. Hughes exhibited signs of strain. His focus waned, and he appeared detached from his own lectures. I reveled in the spectacle, finding amusement in his discomfort. In due time, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. True to my word, Mr. Hughes faithfully provided child support each month. To be honest, I didn't require much financial assistance, as my affluent parents willingly took on the responsibility of caring for their grandchild. Their love for their newfound role as grandparents was evident. Life settled into a semblance of normalcy. I resumed my studies, my parents devotedly cared for the baby, and Mr. Hughes' secrets remained safeguarded. Yet, as fate would have it, a revelation in the school hallway shattered the illusion of normalcy. I overheard someone speaking to Mr. Hughes about his impending fiancé's visit. The word fiancé hung in the air, leaving me seething with anger. Since when did he have a fiancé? The discovery ignited a fierce fire within me. As I strolled past his office, I noticed a dark-haired girl standing there, clad in a snug black dress. I stole a brief glance at her, pondering whether she was his fiancée. Had they become engaged during my absence in New York? The revelation struck me as a bitter disappointment. Determined to address this newfound knowledge, I paid him a visit that day, catching him off guard. "What are you doing here?" he inquired, his face betraying surprise. Alarmed, he added, "What if someone sees you?" Without missing a beat, I retorted, "You're engaged. Why didn't you tell me?" Mr. Hughes found himself in a state of panic, unaware that I had uncovered his concealed secret. In response, I applied pressure, threatening to expose our past if he refused to divulge the truth. He confessed that their engagement had transpired a year ago, revealing that she was a math teacher from his previous school. He admitted to wanting to end the relationship but confessed to his inability to do so. Describing her as an overbearing presence who constantly tracked his movements, he portrayed her as somewhat unhinged. I couldn't help but be disappointed by his apparent weakness. The following day, she paid a visit to our school to see Mr. Hughes. Seizing the opportunity, I discreetly followed her when she departed, surreptitiously noting her place of residence. Under the cover of night, I returned to her abode and, with a can of red spray paint, adorned her front door with defiant graffiti. The ensuing day, I encountered her in the school hallway, rushing toward Mr. Hughes' office. With a sly grin, I quipped, "Some of you woke up upset today with evil smiles on your faces." She paused, locking eyes with me, and retorted, "It was you. You dirty little brat. Who are you anyway?" I responded with a cold edge, "Leave him alone, you old witch. He's all mine." "Oh, did you know we have a baby together?" I could unmistakably discern the fury etched on her face. She seemed poised to seize me by the hair, but instead, she took a deep breath and entered the office, slamming the door behind her. I initially assumed she was ending her relationship with him, but I soon discovered I was mistaken. As the school day concluded, I made my way to the parking lot, intending to drive my mother's car, which she seldom used. However, I was met with a shocking sight. All the tires had been maliciously flattened. It was apparent that someone had deliberately destroyed them. Casting my gaze around, I spotted her in the vicinity, brandishing a pair of scissors and reveling in her sinister handiwork. She was clearly unhinged. I realized I had to take action before she could inflict any further harm. The following day, as I passed by Mr. Hughes' office, I observed her seated on his lap, cooing affectionately, "How's my sweet bunny?" Her demeanor shifted drastically when she noticed me, as she provocatively pressed her breasts against his face while flashing me a malevolent smile. It was abundantly clear that I needed to impart a lesson. After school, I took my baby and paid a visit to Mr. Hughes' apartment. As he opened the door, astonishment painted his face, for he had previously cautioned me never to appear at his residence. Ignoring his objections, I pushed inside, only to be met with an unexpected sight. She was present as well. Her countenance brimmed with anger as she sniped, "Little Missy couldn't keep her thighs covered, so now she has a baby?" Enraged, I retorted, "At least I'm not foolish enough to tolerate my fiance's indiscretions." Our exchange escalated, culminating in her physically attacking me and pulling my hair. In response, I defended myself. Amidst this tumultuous scene, Mr. Hughes remained immobilized, cradling the baby, uncertain of how to intervene. Shortly thereafter, the police arrived at the doorstep, prompted by noise complaints from concerned neighbors. They issued a stern warning. However, the woman unleashed a tirade, placing the blame squarely on me and even physically assaulted me in front of the officers. Fortunately, the police swiftly apprehended her and escorted her away from the premises. I stood beside Mr. Hughes, clutching my baby. For several days, there was no sign or word from her. I began to believe that things had returned to normal. However, my optimism was short-lived. One day in class, our math teacher announced his temporary departure for a month, revealing that a new young teacher would be stepping in as his replacement. When the new teacher entered the classroom, my astonishment was palpable. She introduced herself by saying, "Hi, everyone, I'm Zoe, and I'll be your new math teacher for this month." Then she fixed me with a wicked grin. From that point forward, my math class transformed into a daily ordeal. Zoe consistently selected the most challenging math problems and compelled me to solve them in front of the entire class, all while subjecting me to ridicule. On occasion, she would taunt, "Oh, I suppose these math questions are simply too much for your peanut-sized brain," provoking laughter from the entire class. I reached a breaking point and decided that I couldn't endure it any longer. During one math class, I clandestinely placed my phone inside my pencil case and discreetly initiated a recording. When Zoe once again targeted me in front of the class, I managed to capture the entire incident on video. Following the class, I promptly proceeded to the principal's office. I presented the video as evidence and recounted the entire story. Zoe's dismissal was immediate, and the news of her mistreatment of students at the school spread throughout the town. Faced with the public revelation, she had no alternative but to depart from the town. As for Mr. Hughes, I decided to end our relationship. It became evident that he couldn't provide the protection and support I needed. I realized I could stand on my own without him. Currently, I'm focused on graduating from high school and pursuing my college education. My parents have been a tremendous source of support, taking excellent care of my baby when I'm away and encouraging me to pursue my studies. Sometimes, it takes experiencing the true nature of people to grow, learn, and move forward.